Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Genuine Life podcast. I cannot believe I just said that. We are here. It is season 5, the first episode, and I'm just so happy that you are here. I'm your host, Jennifer, but feel free to call me Jen, and I can't even begin to tell you how excited, grateful, all those things to be here with you. I want to give a special shout out to everyone who DM'd, called, texted, asking where new episodes were. Thank you to those of you who were still listening, even when I wasn't doing what I said I was going to do. You guys are really the ones that I want to say a special thank you to, because I think in life I really enjoyed doing this, but it also was becoming kind of put on the back burner with life and work and everything. So to see that people were still finding encouragement listening to the Genuine Life podcast, or just kind of still tuning in even when I wasn't posting, is such a huge just boost and compliment to me. And so I just want to send you a special thank you. If you are new to this amazing podcast, and I'm not just saying that because I'm the host, what makes it amazing is everyone who listens and participates and reshares and really is working on living their best, most genuine life. So this is the best way to think about this podcast. It's a lifestyle audio series where we prioritize peace, wellness, and living genuine lives on our own terms. And so every episode will be taking some deep dives into my life and things that I've learned along the way, but also bringing guests on to maybe help open your eyes to something new or provide resources that can help you make sure that you're living your most genuine life. And that's all that we do. We don't do anything negative over here. It's nothing but positivity, positive vibes, vibrating higher. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I want to dive in because we have a ton to talk about, okay? So the very first thing I want to kind of bring up is, I guess, what could be considered the elephant in the room. If you're following me on Instagram, I had posted that this podcast was going to be posted on YouTube, as well as, the general way that I do it. And we can see here that only half of that is true. And so while audio is still good and thriving and alive, I was thinking, maybe I need to switch over to YouTube as well. But I'm not going to lie, y'all. So one more tip for those of you who are new to the show. It's called the Genuine Life podcast for a reason. I do not overly edit. So I do have 2 dogs. You might hear them barking in the background. I'm sitting next to a window. You might hear some construction. And as long as it's not obnoxious, I don't edit it out, because that's life and that's what it is. And so I filmed myself recording the episode with the intention of taking the filmed version and popping that on YouTube. And then, of course, just taking the audio from my recorder and popping it up on the sites like I normally do. The challenge was the editing. Okay, I didn't realize how much editing was going. I just thought I could take everything from one thing and upload it, and that it just wasn't it. It just wasn't working. Okay, So long story short, audio will continue. I need to figure out the best way for me to film and edit all in one shot versus having to film a separate video and then upload it and then film the audio over again. I know there's a better way, but I just can't figure out how. So I need to head over to University of YouTube. I need it for some more time, but the name of the game is also to remain consistent. So I went back to what I know, which is just recording the audio, and then as soon as the video will be available, I will let you all know that. But the good news is the YouTube page is not going wasted. So I'm still going to be putting content up on the YouTube channel, which I can't believe I'm saying. I have always tried to avoid camera, but I just feel like, I don't know, I'm ready. And so on the YouTube channel, in addition to the podcasts, when they start to get uploaded, you will also find vlogs. I am going to be doing outfits, get ready with me's, and hauls, and just some behind the scenes kind of things, just having some fun and showing you a little glimpse into my life. And my very, very, very first vlog that will be going up is my trip to Mexico next week. Yes. because I am going to Cancun for the first time. I've been to Mexico, but just never Cancun. I'm not a partier when I go on vacation. I am the kind of girl like drop me off at my resort, come get me when I'm ready. I just want to relax, and so yeah, it's gonna be a really cool vlog, I think. And so if you are interested in that kind of content, definitely head over to The Genuine Life on YouTube and subscribe so that you don't miss any of those uploads as well. The second update, if you are not following me on Instagram, I don't know why, but you should, or TikTok, because I'm on there. I am now micro-locked as well. And so for those of you who were around like in 2018, 19, I had started my sister lock journey and had almost hit my 1 year anniversary. But during that time I had been let go from an employer. And so I, in between finding work, I just wasn't able to get my reties done. And my hair was so damaged. And if you have locks, especially the small ones where I was interlocking at the time, and so my sister locks had just started to intertwine. I mean, they were a mess. And so the quote I was given was just about as much as an install, and so I decided to take them out by hand with a safety pin. It took me 1 week, and I was back to my hair. And at the time I was also, I had moved back to Atlanta, and so, if you've been here, you can get your hair done anywhere. But I was also having some trouble because my hair just was damaged. I don't know if it was after I took the sister locks out or what, but they just weren't back to normal. And so I had gotten some braids, and the braids just tore my hair up. I mean, bald spots, braids were falling out every other day. I think they were just too tight, too much tension on my hair. And I think in about a week, I made the decision I'm going back to locks, but this time I decided to go with micro locks with extensions, and I wanted them just a little bit bigger this time. I wanted just a bit of extension to give me some more fullness, which I'm realizing I really didn't need, but it's all good. My hair is doing amazing. I'm 4 months in, and I do not have not one regret. I just wish I had done it sooner. My hair is just, bald spots are coming back in. Edges are starting to come back in. And if you have any trouble with these areas with your hair, I would highly suggest Jamaican black castor oil. That's all I rub on my hair, on my edges specifically, not my scalp, but just the edges and the perimeter. And my hair is just like growing back. So that was the next update. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok, you can check them out there. I post monthly updates on how my hair is doing and what changes I'm seeing. So if that is something you're interested in, or maybe even considering getting micro locks or sister locks, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And, I was thinking about this because the last episode that I recorded, I think I was in Atlanta. I don't know if I had moved back yet, but either way, for those of you who need just a quick catch up, I was living in Seattle from 2019 to 2020, and right at the height of the pandemic, I thought it would be smart to move back to Georgia. I really wanted to be closer to family, and Seattle just it was just a little too far. I had met amazing people out there, but I needed to be closer to family, especially at the start of that pandemic. I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to be out here by myself. And so I am back in Atlanta. I've been here now since 2020. I am itching to move again, but I'm not. So I'm just going to hang tight and chill out for a little bit because I am tired of moving. But I don't know. And this could be a whole nother episode, but I think one of the beauties about my situation, like being single, no kids, is like I don't have to be tied down anywhere. I'm not committed to anything or anyone. And I love that feeling because I can get bored really easily. And sometimes I just want to explore new things. Like I just want to see how people in Tennessee live. I don't know. I just always like to mix it up. So I'm fine. I'm planted for now. But did want to give you that quick update. I am back in Atlanta. If you are in Atlanta, I am seriously considering putting together a meetup group. So I will keep you posted. I want to start getting out more. And when I started my meetup group in Austin, it was to help me get out of the house. And so I think I'm kind of feeling the same vibe here, but I will keep you posted for sure. Now, I have some really, really big news. Now for this one, and I forgot to tell you to grab your beverage and your snack. So it's not too late. Definitely go ahead and do that. This is probably the biggest update, and it's going to be the foundation of today's podcast episode. You may have noticed in the title, 5 reasons why I am glad I was laid off. You're probably thinking I've lost my mind. I can assure you I have not. But yes, the biggest news is I was laid off from Google. Not too long after my 2 years. I had just hit 2 years in April, and the layoff occurred in September. And, if you've been following my journey, this was my second time there at Google. And we all know, this time I had gotten back in as a full-time employee. I had I'm telling y'all, I had planned on retiring from there. Like, I just knew I was never going to have to find another job. And September 13th, my number was pulled. And, I can sit here and tell you everything that I've gone through. Yes, I cried. Snot nose crying, depressed about it, anxious about it, very scared about what's next. And then, even though those feelings don't totally go away, there are 5 things that I'm really glad about that I have been able to kind of see through this chaotic and dark, what could be a dark time. And so I really want to kind of focus on the positives. And this is not just this layoff. Unfortunately, I'm not a stranger to it. This is my second time being laid off. And I am telling you from experience, it is very difficult. It is hard. It's even difficult for those who were not laid off and are quote unquote left behind, So it's never easy for anybody on any end, whether you're still working or not. It's hard, right? So I want to take some time. If you are someone right now that is currently laid off and looking for work, if you're someone who was not laid off but missing your coworkers, I want to kind of talk about 5 things that we can highlight that are positive about a layoff, okay? Let me also say that these are my opinions, okay? So you have to understand my opinion is also rooted in the fact that I do not have children, that I am single, that I don't have a family depending on, my insurance or anything like that. So you have to kind of take what I'm saying and then fit it to where it fits for you. But I think the foundations are all going to be the same, okay? So as I mentioned before, tech and many industries right now are laying off amazing folks. And, back in 2012, I went from account management to the first time ever being laid off. A company that I was working for had been bought out. And so to make matters worse, I was also going through a divorce. So the timing couldn't have been worse for me during that first layoff. So this one kind of took me by surprise. I think in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like, it could happen. But then at the same time, my anxiety about it had kind of wore off, and I was hitting this stride at work. I loved my team. I finally had a manager that understood me. I was being mentored by a VP. I was a part of these amazing initiatives where I was really gaining experience around facilitation and public speaking skills. So for the first time in my life, I just felt like I had hit my stride in my career. Like I knew I was going somewhere from here. And that's just how I felt. And so I did not think that would be changed. But it was a beautiful day. I had been traveling, or I traveled to New Jersey to spend some time with my father, who had been in the hospital. And the last time I was in New Jersey, I had promised myself that I would go over to the city because I had never been to the New York office before. And I didn't go because I was too lazy. I was like, I do not feel like taking the train. But this trip, I said, no, like you have got to go. When are you ever going to get the opportunity to just go into a New York office, you know? And so I took an Uber because I was still too lazy and didn't feel like taking a train. And I was fully prepared to give the reel of a lifetime, y'all. I had content plans. I was ready for the day. I wore my little cute outfit. You know, I was just like ready to meet coworkers that I had never met before, but I've been working with. I had heard so much about the food and all the different things. So I just was really ready to have a really fun day. And I just finished breakfast. I was talking to my coworker and just kind of planning out where we were going to sit. And this is someone I had met for the first time. And so she was walking me through like where the team is and all the places that I could check out while I was there. And it was so weird. It was almost like a Amber Alert. We had both checked our phones at the same time and we got this email. And I just didn't know what it meant. And I found out about 2 hours later that, my job had been eliminated. And so a wave of emotions came over me in this moment. I am like, what in the world am I going to tell my parents? You know, who is going to take over my queue of candidates? You know, I'm thinking about them. And then what am I going to do now? You know, I'd always thought I would retire from here. I wanted to get an RV and like just drive across the U.S. and park it in front of different beaches and just all of these things. And I promise this is what I started thinking about. Like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to make these dreams come true? And, you know, of course, the infamous question, why? You know, I mind my business. I try to do good in the world. And yet I always feel like I get stuck with the short stick. Like, why did this happen to me? And then, you know, I think, and I want to be very clear, we're all human. And I think it's perfectly fine to have these thoughts. But then I couldn't even hold it back anymore. Though in the middle of this floor, in front of folks that I had just met for the first time in person, just an hour before, I bawled. And I'm talking about ugly crying, grabbing tissues, having to run because snot was running down my nose. Like, it hit me really hard. And I just could not stop crying. I wasn't even hungry anymore. We had planned on going to lunch and I didn't even eat. I just sat there, very confused about what to do, where to go. So at this point, I'm in New York. I'm not even near my parents. And I said, you know what? I'm going to Barnes & Noble. I'm going to go where I always find joy, and it's at a bookstore. I don't know what it is. Just walking around aimlessly. And so that's what I did. I packed up my stuff. I closed my laptop and I called an Uber to Barnes & Noble. And I bought some books and I just sat outside. I was in Colonies. Was I in Colonies? I don't even know where I was. I'm not even sure where I was. I just sat there and people watched. I called some friends, you know, and obviously my parents. And it was perfect timing. Sometimes God really does align things for us because I had planned on meeting some friends in the city that day anyway. We were going to go to happy hour and just kind of chill. And the timing could not have been more perfect because I needed them more than they probably knew at the moment. But this was also the second time that Google in a way had rejected me. In 2017, I worked there for almost 2 years as a contractor before being told I wasn't going to convert. And now fast forward to 2023, I'm now being told, thanks so much for everything, but you're no longer needed. And I'm not going to lie, y'all, it hurts. And it still does. You know, I still think I have my days. I'm doing much better. It's been about a month now. Every day, you know, you just take it one day at a time. But I want to share 5 things that I've enjoyed since being laid off in hopes that you too can find the joy in a chaotic time, or if you're blessed to still be working, allow these things to be reminders to never let them go in the name of climbing a corporate ladder, okay? So number 1, I'm rediscovering things that I used to love. And we've all been there. We can easily fall back into the trap of work, home, responsibilities, the weekend, back to work, throw a trip in there, back to work, and so on, right? I had pushed my podcast to the side. I was too tired to hang out after work. Weekends belonged to my bed and then prepping for the following week. I'd be on the phone with family and friends, but I can't really say I was fully present. I could hear, but my mind was also thinking about what I needed to do for work and what I missed or what I forgot, So, like, I wasn't really fully present. And don't get me wrong, I loved working there. And to no fault of my own, I didn't have any balance. And now for those of you who are perfect and can't relate to what I'm saying, you do your 8 hours and you go home. That is wonderful. Do not change. But if you are someone who definitely did not know how to truly, fully disconnect, I'm begging you to learn to disconnect. Take that class that you've been wanting to try. Please take your PTO and be present in your life outside of work. They don't need to come together. They don't have to be the same thing. 2 separate things. Keep them separate. Number 2 is forcing me to remember who I am. Okay? And of course, I know I'm not my job. I know that I am made up of so much more than just being a recruiter. But I think subconsciously it did become my identity. And I was this girl who went from retail, no degree, into Google twice. And in a way, my offer at Google was equal to me graduating with my bachelor's degree. Like, that was my crowning moment. I never imagined that I would be at a place like that and making impact and helping people, because we are told, if you don't get your degree, you can't do this, or you're not going to make as much money if you don't get your degree. And that was far from the truth. Okay. And so I feel like I had become this example for people who may have had the same background as me, that anything is possible, right? Because I just don't think that you think that could happen, and it can, and it still can, right? It's not like it's over for me, but my parents were so proud when I told them that I was going back to work there. And whether people want to admit it or not, when you work in tech, there is a certain level that you feel like you've reached. There's a certain weight that comes with, say, that you work at Google. And I was super proud to work there. And I will always be proud that I was able to walk those Google halls. But I had to remember that I'm also an amazing, multifaceted individual, whether I work there or not. Working there was not who I was. It was a part of who I was. And now that chapter is closed, I'm still Jennifer. I'm not going to stop being a great facilitator or all of a sudden lose my public speaking skills now that I'm not there. I can recruit, but I also love art. I love podcasting. I love going to concerts. I love helping and encouraging people. I'm a creative and I thrive doing creative things. I love to travel. I want to cruise more. I'm literally professionally dating myself again. And it's really exciting to get to know what this Jennifer is going to bring to the next table that who knows? I might even create the table. I don't know. But it's forcing me to remember everything about me that I think I forgot while I was working there. And that's been a beautiful thing. Now, number 3, I have a chance to rewrite this chapter in my story. How many times in our grown lives do we ever get the opportunity to just sit and think about what we want to do next? I mean, really sit down and write out the blueprint for your life. Time to sit and pray if you're a believer and get clarity where things have felt fuzzy. And see, I recognize and appreciate that every shift in life is going to lead you to something new. I have a chance to change careers, pursue passions I've been putting off, resting. I was not sleeping and didn't realize it either. I knew I was tired, but like the rest that I've been getting is immeasurable. Getting a chance to recharge my battery. Yes, I'm scared. I'm terrified, okay? I am nervous about what's next, but I'm also wildly excited for the unknown. I'm blessed to be in a position where I have nothing to lose. And honestly, neither do you. I can do and try anything that I want. The world is my oyster, and I'm truly going to take advantage of this time, and I encourage you to do the same. Even if you are taking care of your family or whatever the case may be, you have at least 24 hours where you can sit and just be wild. Write exactly what you want out of your life. What do you want? And now's the time to go get it, because you have nothing to lose. You really don't. You're starting from scratch. So the only way is up. And that's how I'm just kind of seeing things right now. All right, number 4. It has forced me to rethink and update my boundaries so that I am better prepared for the time that I return to a new job. Did I have work email on my phone? I sure did. Was I checking emails as soon as I woke up or at dinner? Yeah, I did that too. Would I be out of office and still be checking in on that thing I emailed about prior to being out? I sure did. Okay. And yes, I stayed late during busy seasons because that's just what I did. Super dedicated to the work and the candidate experience, and I will never regret that. I won't. And see, what many of you don't know is that most recruiters are never off. We really do care about your experience. Contrary to what you may be feeling on the other end, we understand this dream job is something that you want, and we're also trying to help the business match with the dream candidate. Most recruiters do not get commission, so there's not like a benefit here to us to make sure that you get this role. It's just literally because we care. Now, my next gig, they're not going to get that version of me, okay? Because I have got to learn my boundaries, and this time off has helped me establish what those are going to be. What are my non-negotiables next time? Okay. It's helping me also understand what questions I should be asking when I go through the interview period. Really understanding who the manager is. Are they a micromanager? Do they expect me to respond to an email if I'm off? Like, these are questions that I think I didn't ask before. And I got really, really lucky because my manager was someone who truly, and I'm talking about really believed in work-life balance. If you were off that day and she called you online, it was, what are you doing? What do you need? Is there something I can do to get you offline? Like, that's a very high standard to be set, especially in tech. And so now I'm going to be looking for somebody that manages the same way. And I know that no one's going to be just like her, but at the same time, I know now what I won't be working with. And so understanding my limits. When does my mental health start to struggle when I'm working? And how much am I willing, how far am I willing to go? But this confidence that I'm able to build during this quiet period is something that I think is going to be truly valuable when I do start to interview or kind of pitch myself to other companies. Finally, don't think I'm psycho when I say this, but the compliments, the thank yous, and the intentional, thoughtful messages that people have been sending are so uplifting and encouraging. If you have not been through a layoff, I have to tell you, regardless of any of the work that you've done, it can be a blow to your ego. It's this thought of like, why me? Like, why did I have to go? What did I do wrong? You can't help but internalize it. You really can't. It's hard. And you start to wonder, like, if everything that you've done is worth it. Why weren't you valued the same way you valued the work? I mean, all of these thoughts just kind of go through your mind. And then you start to get these messages from people who worked with you or people who encountered you at work. And I cannot begin to tell you how amazing it feels to kind of read through how you made people feel. Or, maybe you never knew this, but you were the reason why they took the job. Or maybe you helped a coworker in a time that they really needed you and you didn't even know it. Like, all of these thoughts that people have of you, they will share them. And I don't want you thinking it's like a narcissistic thing. I'm not saying talk about me. But this message is really more for those who know someone who's been going through a layoff or has been laid off. Please, please, please do not be afraid to share with them how important they are or what they may have done for you or someone that you know. Those words of encouragement can go a really long way because it is very tough out here applying for jobs right now. Very qualified candidates are being rejected. Very qualified candidates are not even getting a call back. And it is really difficult to kind of keep navigating the space when you have no positive reinforcements coming back. And so your encouragements, your thoughtful messages can serve as that while they're kind of going through this time of really just rebuilding their confidence and reminding themselves that they are amazing. And so I just want to share. I think that is super important. And thank you to everyone who has taken the time to just share with me how anything that I've done has impacted you, because this is all information that I'm going to take when I go into my, interview time. I am doing a separate episode for those who are laid off for how to really stand out during this time, especially when it can feel like the market is so saturated and everybody's applying to the exact same job at the same time, and you just don't know what to do. So that'll be a whole nother episode just for you. But for this one, I just wanted to kind of kick off episode 1 with some positivity. I want you to know that I am doing A-okay. I will be okay. I am slowly getting over this hump and really diving into things like this, right? Podcasting, I'm traveling, I'm really taking advantage of the time off. And then when I'm ready, I will hop back out there and kill it again if that's what the plans are for me. But for now, this is where I'm planted. And I'm so excited to have you here. I'm excited to grow with you and continue to learn with you. And that is going to bring us to the end of this episode. But don't worry, I'll be right back here next week, live from Mexico. So yeah, I'm doing a bonus episode out there. And the next week, we are going to talk a little bit about managing your depression and anxiety during a tough time. Those of you know, I am no stranger to medications. I am no stranger to insomnia, depression, and anxiety. And we're going to talk about it because I think there's a lot going on in the world and we can all use just some time to reevaluate how we're taking care of our mental health. So that's going down next week, plus a bonus episode live from Mexico. And remember, as you go throughout this week, you are more than enough. You maintain your peace, make sure you pick your battles, and make sure you own every single room that you walk in. Now go be great, and I'll see you back here next week.